Hello, Barbies, Kens, theys, and thems. Welcome to Nicole Reacts, a show in which I, Nicole, react to online marketing gurus that I find, that other people help me find, and occasionally who find me on the internet. My qualifications for marketing snark and commentary are that I own a marketing company and that I began in January of 2008, formerly Breaking Even Communications, now rebranded as Technical Support. Get it? My name's Nicole, Technical Support. And I've worked with hundreds of clients in the last 17 years on their marketing strategy and implementation. So I know a fair bit when it comes to online marketing, but also related topics like search engine optimization and website development. Today's person comes from friend of the channel, Alex. What I love about Alex, besides the fact that she's fun and smart and has all of these gurus down pat, she gave me a bunch of names. So we're going to be slowly working through these. She also knows how they're all connected. And I kind of joked with her that it'd be really funny if someone made one of those, charts that, they typically use to solve crimes. There's the meme with the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia guy, usually talking about conspiracy theories. So she sent me a Canva link and she started doing this and she knows so much about how these people are all connected. So at some point, I'm going to connect with Alex to bring this information forward. I need to figure out how I'm going to contribute to that discussion though, because I don't like showing up to the group project without, really being able to participate. But she knows how all these people are connected, and they are indeed apparently all connected. So today's guru I'd never heard of, but is connected with the other gurus, Amy Landino. And I wanted to react to this video today because one of the things I've seen consistently with these gurus is they act like you can make these simple tweaks to your social media profile to attract the right clients. And today's video is called Make This Update to Your Social Profile to Attract High-End Clients. And if it was as easy as adding the right hashtags or changing your profile picture to get high-end clients, wouldn't we all be doing that? But anyway, this is a 13-minute video that's about a small change that's going to attract high-end clients. So let's see how legit it is. I'll try to go in with an open mind. Let's get started.
Lots of people say that social media is fake. That's not entirely correct. It's just that you're most likely to go to somebody's social media profile and see a highlight reel than you are an unfiltered story. Think about it. When you post a photo of yourself online, do you just go ahead and post every single shot that you got? Or do you carefully curate the one or two that you prefer?
Who wants to look through all of someone's drafts before they get to their final result? I feel like that would be really overwhelming if people did that, but
It's not that those photos aren't true to you. They were just the highest points of that moment. So when you're marketing yourself and building a personal brand online, you're basically doing the same thing. Except instead of just getting a bunch of likes on a cool post, you're building trust with people who could potentially be your next customer. So if you're not exactly crushing it in this area, that's okay. Today I'm going over a method that I have for helping you to emulate a successful business on social media. Because it's not fake when you're doing the work and changing lives. We just need to let everyone know what you're up to so you can do.
this graphic is ridiculous. I like the little buddy counter and then the people kind of rising with the yay. Oh my God.
Do more of it. This is the step into my office method. All right, so we'll start with just giving ourselves a place to call an office.
I appreciate that rather than using a whiteboard, she's using a notebook to go over this. So, all right, the step into my office method.
We got a roof and the actual walls of the place we do our work. Now, let me ask you something. If you have a brick and mortar shop, this is going to be a great analogy for you. But if you don't, just consider as if you had four walls of an office that you invite people to do business to. If somebody were to come to your office, do you need to have 1 million people inside in order to prove you are legitimate? No, you do not. So I want you to think of this as your social media profile. You don't need 1 million followers. You don't need 1 million views. You just need to prove the lights are on in somebody's home. And that is what this method is all about. We're gonna start this off super easy. And you know what? We're just gonna roll out the welcome mat. Ain't delaying nothing. Welcome mat. The welcome mat of your social media profile is your profile pic. We need a nice headshot, something that's smiling, welcoming people in. And maybe a pop.
Okay. I'm going to start taking notes of what we need and we can go over it at the end. Okay. So don't worry. I'm taking notes.
Of color. This welcome mat's going to be seen by many, okay? It's going to scroll through the feed every time there's a post, every time there's a story. There's all kinds of times where this welcome mat is going to be in your face. So we need it to be clear. We need it to be welcoming. We need it to feel good. And so sometimes just having your logo or something really bland or a photo that's not great in terms of contrast. It doesn't pop. It's not going to be that welcoming. This welcome mat is going to be dusty and dirty, and I'm not going to feel good about it. So make sure your headshot, your profile picture is really strong. Whenever somebody's scrolling through the feed, it makes them see you. This
It would be really great to see an example of this. Like, here's an example of 2 not strong profile pictures, and here's an example of 2 strong ones, right? It wouldn't add much to the length of the video, but it would add a lot of context here.
is important for brand identification. The next thing we're going to need is some office signage here. This is typically where you put your name in the name field, right? So you're going to say name, but you might also add your value title. So if you actually go to my Instagram, you'll see it says Amy Landino, but on the same line, it also says personal brand coach. Rather than taking up more space in the bio for that, I actually was able to add it on to the end, and it really grabs attention because it's right there at the top. So if you see nothing else except for the welcome mat and the office signage, you get a good idea of whether or not the lights are on and what you need to know about this business. Now, what do we need? How about a door? We need to let people in. If we're going to let people in, this door better be unlocked.
Okay, so we can't have a private social media. I thought this door was gonna be like our content, but okay, we're gonna get to the fact that the profile can't be private.
Can't just have any door. We need to have one that opens. So this is what's going to be your bio. And the way that you indicate the door is unlocked is by having some way to engage right away. If you look at my bio on Instagram, for example, I don't just go into details about me. I go into details of what somebody could do now that they are here, now that they are looking at my business. And we'll call this getting started instructions. There's lots of different ways you can do this. You can point people to download a PDF and join your email list. For me, people can get something for free from me when they send me a DM in Instagram itself. So what is a way that somebody can get started with you? Put that in your bio. That is all signs point to an unlocked door. Some other things you might put, maybe your products, some credibility, and any other type of reference that you think is important. I link to my product lines, Amy Landino & Co. and the Good Morning Good Life book series. I talk about a little bit of credibility with having a YouTube channel. And of course, I reference that I'm a Vayner speaker, which is linking to another account. It gives you an idea of what you need to know
I'm guessing Vayner as in Vayner Media as in Gary Vaynerchuck, but we'll check in a sec.
about me, if you're going to learn anything from me, and why you can trust me as a resource. Now, I don't know about you, but sometimes I actually go to a business, and because I have the first appointment of the day, I'm like, I think I see people inside, but I don't know if they have like all the lights on. Like, are they really in there? Is it time? Are they on the clock yet? Do you know how to find out real
Clearly, you have not ever shown up at Aldi 10 minutes before they open and people are just like lurking outside. I sit in my car until I see them unlock the front door, but I don't think people are that subtle generally.
quick? Look for an open sign. We all need an open sign. We can't just have the unlocked door. We need to engage as much as possible. Not only can you learn about me and have something to do with my business, but why don't we just get started right now? Your version of the open sign in this case is going to be the Walmart greeting. You know what a Walmart greeting is. When you walk into Walmart, there is a lovely individual standing at the front that wants to let you know that you arrived to the right place
So is that like a pinned post or is that your stories highlights?
and say, hi. What is your version of a Walmart greeting? You want to be able to have a conversation with someone and say, hey, thanks for being here. How'd you find out about me? What are you interested in? Where shall we go from here? You're not coming in hot. You're not laying a thick layer on. You're just trying to find out some information. So you want to know what your Walmart greeting is going to be. For me, it's, hey, and I usually call the person by name. Hey, Susan, thank you so much for being here.
Here's the thing that's tough about social media though. We can't assume that everybody is going to go to your profile to see your content. A lot of your content is served in the person's feed, right? They're scrolling and they see your piece of content in isolation. The only way that you can sort of orient someone is once they get to your profile, you could either pin something to the top of your, so TikTok and Instagram, Facebook allows you to pin something to the top. And usually that's some kind of piece of content that would orient people. On Instagram specifically, there's something called stories highlights. So after you post a story, it typically will go away in 24 hours unless you add it to your highlights. And your highlights act as like a little bit of a menu. And what a lot of people will do is have a story's highlight called something like Start Here, with the idea that if you watch that series of stories, you will be oriented to the business. But that's pretty Instagram specific. And maybe she's only talking about Instagram here. But the thing with social media that's tough is that every single piece of content that could be the first piece of content that someone sees from you and potentially the only piece of content that people see from you. They don't necessarily go to your profile to see it. So we have to do what we can in that piece of content as well. Oh, I think the Walmart greeter thing is like a nice idea. It's just not something that's necessarily, I think, realistic when we think about social media. All right, let's get back to it. I like the analogies though.
Are you here because you like inspirational videos, or were you looking to build a profitable personal brand? That's my little Walmart greeting. And I'll give you one guess as to where it happens. That's right. It happens in the mailbox. This is where we're going to serve. This is where we're going to connect. And this is maybe where we're going to make an offer. When
Okay, I think there's a way to automatically send someone a message when they follow you, maybe?
someone follows you, when
Okay.
somebody engages with you, when somebody sends you a message, when somebody comments on your stuff, when somebody is hanging out with you at your store, you have a conversation with them. You don't need to have it in public. You don't have to go into the comment section and start asking all kinds of questions. Slide into the DM and find out if they would like to have further conversation with you. A conversation I have a lot in my DMs is about my coaching work. And so people come to my inbox on Instagram and DM me the word coach, and we talk about it and we see if they're a fit for them.
Okay, so but you're asking them in the comments to write the word coach if they're interested, and then you're only messaging them if they express interest. That's a little bit different than someone who just happens upon my profile, right? Or decides to follow me or, likes a piece of content from me. They haven't said they're interested in anything yet by hitting the like button or by hitting the follow button, right? I feel like just sliding into their DMs right away might feel a little aggressive, but maybe that's why I'm not an 8-figure business owner.
For them to be a part of my group coaching program. If you're interested in that, you can do that as well. Now, you might be wondering what I'm referencing when in my Walmart greeting, I'm saying, hey, do you just like inspirational videos? That's because one of the very important things you need for your office is windows. We need windows. You're never going to have enough windows. There's going to be so many windows all the time. Windows, windows,
Okay, that's a piece of content.
windows. Why? Because I need to be able to see into the business. I want to know what's going on. I want to hear what you have to say. I want to think about how you think about things, and I want to decide if it's right for me. The windows into the soul of your business and the way that you operate, these are your social media posts. These are your reels. These are your carousels. These are your photos. These are your live streams, whatever it is, where you share ideas and press, anything to mass distribute, anything that gives an idea of how you want to attract the right people. This is something that nurtures, it informs, it's shareable. You can point to the window of someone's business and give someone else an idea as to what they're all about. That's what your windows are. They are posts, they go into people's DMs, they get shared in text messages, they let people in, they give them a glimpse. Now, you're going to have these windows. They're fantastic. They're there. They're shareable. They are going to be tried and true over time.
Okay, I like the analogy, but if she adds any more to this, it becomes difficult to remember. But I have a feeling she's going to add a couple more things to this that's going to make it a little more convoluted. But I just want to say, I feel like we could stop at the windows.
Time. But there's going to be a lot of stuff in your business that you're not keeping forever, but you still want to share. And that is here in your daily docket. The daily docket is what's on deck for the day, what's going on, what's happening behind the scenes.
So is that like a sandwich board in front of your business, like a little chalkboard that you update with like your specials and stuff? But in this case, it's going to be your stories, right?
What can you tell me about what you learned today and how I can execute it immediately because I'm getting to know you and I want to know more. These are highlights, behind the scenes, Q&A, whatever you can do to engage on a consistent basis in real time. And yeah, you probably guessed it. This beautiful billboard is a digital rotating billboard that is called your stories. So, Instagram stories is where I'm posting my daily docket. And there's going to be some stuff in here that's going to be throwaway. And there's going to be some stuff in here that I want to keep for a long time. But I'm keeping people engaged. I'm showing them what's going on. And I'm making them see that we got a whole lot happening. Not only are the doors unlocked, the lights are on, and we are in business. So, you
How is this attracting high-end clients though? I understand how posting more content and posting different kinds of content and, having a great profile picture and having a comprehensive bio and all that. I understand how all that collectively would help the cause. I just don't understand how this attracts a high-end person. And she hasn't gotten into that yet, and we only have like 4 more minutes for her to get into it.
you should be a part of what we got going. Now, some really fancy businesses like yours, they have this really cool ticker at the top of their business. It kind of keeps people updated on the numbers and all the things that are really important. But basically, get someone up to speed. What do I need to know right now that's really important? I call this the briefing. In other words, TLDR. Too long, didn't read. You've got a lot going on. That's fabulous, but can you give me the most important things here? Your story highlights, your Q&A that people ask you all the time, the behind the scenes that really give an
I feel like she's making this unnecessarily complicated.
idea of how great you are at what you do. These things we save to the highlight reel on our profile. This is very specific to Instagram. You probably know what I'm talking about. You've got your little highlight button
The little circles on the top. I'll put it on the screen now just in case she doesn't.
on that profile. It's very important to have this because that could be a quick engage on something very important. You might
Notice how she showed us her profile picture and like her business name, but ever since she started referencing the bio and the story highlights and all that, we have not seen her profile. Just kind of pointing that out here.
put what your actual office hours are or how somebody can engage with your business. A quick button touch for somebody to get in touch. And now you are fully in business. You are emulating success. Not only that, you've laid the foundation, the groundwork for what people need to see from you going forward. And the more you find ways to grow your business, the more business windows you're going to need, the more posts, the more you're running this daily.
I think quality posts are good in particular for a small business. It takes a long time to make content and likely unless you have a marketing company, you have other your business involves doing other things besides creating marketing collateral. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like she could end it here. I also feel like she could show examples of profiles that are doing this well, but she's not going to do either of those things. And I bet that for the remaining time, she's going to try to sell us something.
Daily docket, the more things are continuing to be fruitful. And you are suddenly even more successful than you were trying to be in the first place because you started sharing the story of what you're doing. You shared
For those of you who at any point have committed to social media, not like necessarily currently, but even in the past, let's say you were like, I don't know, I posted a story every day for 6 months on Instagram, or there was a period of time for 2 years where I uploaded a YouTube video every single week, whatever that was, right? I want you to ask yourself, were you successful beyond your wildest dreams by doing that? Or did you have to do more? Something that it's important to look at, especially when it comes to using your time to do your marketing, is sort of the return on your investment. I've talked about this in the past, but I'm going to use my blog as an example. So I used to blog daily on my blog. And if you go, you'll see that there's like about 2,000 blog posts on my blog because there was a period of time where I was blogging every day. I think it was for 3 or 4 years. And obviously, I got a lot of traffic, but that took a lot of time. So I stepped it back to 3 times a week. And what I found was there was a drop in traffic, but it didn't cut in half. You know what I mean? Like I was posting like half the time instead of 7 days a week, I was posting 3 days a week, so like a little less than half the time. The traffic went down, but not by that much. So then I cut it down to 2 times a week and then once a week. And what I found is that kind of around that 2 to 3 times a week mark is where I get the most traffic for the effort that I put in. And putting in more effort doesn't mean I get the same amount of return. I'm sure it's like that for a lot of other things too, like going to the gym or I don't know, tending to your garden. If you spent 6 hours a day tending to your garden versus 3, that doesn't mean you're going to get twice as much produce yield. So what you have to do is experiment. How often should you post? And then once you kind of get that dialed in, you can experiment with things like timing and content and all of that. And you can try to experiment with multiple things at the same time. I just personally find it a little bit confusing to run more than one experiment at a time. So these people will always tell you to post more content because their business is to tell you how to produce content. And I'm here to tell you that you posting more content does not necessarily mean you'll get more return, but it might be worth trying out for a period of time to see if it does make a difference. And if that difference is enough to justify the time you're spending doing it. Maybe you do get more website traffic or more Instagram engagement, but maybe you don't necessarily sell more products and you say, you know what? I'm not monetizing my content. So getting more people to the profile doesn't really matter to me. Yeah. So anyway, that's why like my co-working space can have 102 followers and I could still have a viable business because A, people are looking at the content, even if they're not necessarily following the page, because I do post a lot of reels for a business the size that this is, right? And number two, social media is a part of the business, but because it's a physical in person business, my main concern is getting people physically in the door. And I have other ways of doing that. Instagram, Facebook, that's more of an awareness thing, but the email marketing, the following up with people, the search engine optimization of the co-working space that gets people to fill out the contact form. That kind of stuff is actually more important for customer acquisition. So I tend to spend more time on that. Anyway, let's let her finish the video.
Shared the journey. When we don't let people in because we think it's showboating or bragging or we haven't done anything worthwhile yet. So, what's the point of all of this if I don't have anything real to show for it? We'll never do it. Do you know how many businesses have been around for 20 years and they still have yet to start a social media profile or post to it 9 times so that there's at least something to scroll? So many because they are.
She says 9 times because when you look at an Instagram profile, the grid is 3 squares wide, and you can typically see 3 rows down. So you can see a total of 9 posts when you go visit an Instagram account. So that's what she's talking about here. That's why she's saying 9 posts, in case you're wondering.
Are paralyzed because they don't know what the purpose of all this stuff is. But when you look at the features as an opportunity to get a point with your customer across the finish line, it's huge. And then you continue to grow on that. The most important thing here is that you make someone feel welcome, whatever way works for you. You might decide that you don't want the briefing, but you do want to have a lot of this in play so that when you are behind.
I'm gonna be real with you guys. I do not give a shit about Instagram stories. I'm not saying I don't post them, and I'm not saying I wouldn't post them at all or something like that, but the fact that I have to make a differently formatted piece of content that is just for this one area and that it's gonna live for 24 hours and then disappear unless I figure out how to organize it. And on top of all that, the stats aren't necessarily something that I can keep long term. So, like, let's say that someone clicks on one of my business stories. I can see it for the first 24 hours, but then after that, those stats go away. So I can't see who clicked on it after that period. So, from both a time spending creating content standpoint and a data tracking standpoint, it's just kind of low on my list, to be honest with you. Now, I've been personally victimized, for lack of a better word, by Facebook stories because some of my friends are in multi-level marketing companies, and when you watch their stories, they've all been trained to slide into your DMs after you watch them. And let's face it, when you start watching stories, it just auto plays and goes on to the next person. And then suddenly you're watching some multi-level marketing content and you try to close it out, but too late. She already saw that you looked at her story. And now you're going to get an awkward DM that you're going to have to ignore. So that's why I personally like stopped watching stories. It's not to say I don't, but I just have to do it carefully. But from a business standpoint, I find dealing with them kind of annoying. And I just resent that Instagram has, basically given me as a marketer a bunch of extra hoops to jump through. For example, not having links in captions. So now whenever time I want to link to something, I have to add it to the client's, profile link and I have to reference it differently. Oh, they changed the aspect ratio of the photos on Instagram randomly. So after spending years cropping things into squares, now all that work I did doesn't matter. So personally, I just hate Instagram. I use it because I have to, and I'm a marketing person. I understand how to use it, and I think I'm pretty good at it, but it's not one of my favorite platforms to use. So anyway, rant over about stories, but if you're a business and you don't have time to make content, I would say like post a story once in a while and just see if it generates extra, you know, visits to your profile, extra follows, that kind of thing. So if you wanted to experiment and say, "You know what? I'm going to post a story every Monday morning for a month." Then you could look and see if you got an increase in followers after you posted that story or something like that. And if you're seeing you're getting traction from them, you can keep doing them. And if not, you just ran a little experiment and now you know stuff and you can ignore them like I do. For clients, if they have like an event coming up or something like that, I will post it to their stories, and reels, or, I'll do some other things like that, especially if it's like a link to something. Like they're a restaurant and they were, nominated for best whatever, you can put a link in a story. And so I'll post that a few times during the voting period, that kind of thing. I'm not saying they don't have uses. I'm just saying that I use them sparingly because my time is worth something and I think yours is too. I still don't get why these clients are going to be high end though.
Behind the scenes, when you're having conversations with people, when somebody does come into your office and you privately have that setting with them, i.e., an Instagram DM, i.e., a phone call, i.e., an actual patron walking into the business, they will feel like you kind of know what you got going on, which is the most important thing that you can do in business. Because all of us, no matter if we started yesterday or if we've been around for years, we all are learning through execution. You will never have your whole life and business together before it is totally appropriate for you to post on social media. That is why social media is a highlight reel and not totally fake. It's the high moments, the things that we want to be known for so that we engage at the level that we hope to. Step
But still, how do we know the people we're attracting are high end? How can we evaluate that? We can.
into my office on Instagram and check out some of the ways that I'm leveraging these different features of the office to show people my work, get inspired, look at what other people are doing, and use it for yourself. By simply setting up your social media profile so that the lights are on someone's home and there's an opportunity for somebody to walk through your unlocked door, you would be shocked to find out how quickly you might be able to grow that business in really, really big ways.
All right, let's take a look at her Instagram profile and see how she's doing. Okay, so first of all, her handle is Schmidt-tastic. I'm wondering if maybe her name was Amy Schmidt before. Maybe she got married or otherwise changed her name. So her engagement rate is pretty good for the size of her audience, 4.59%. I'm going to hit analyze more posts. I'm going to use one of my credits for that. And now I have to go back to the top. Okay, so recently she's had better engagement. Now, if I look at more posts, so this is based on 23 posts, she's at 2.24%. You know what? I'm going to click it one more time. Okay, based on 35 posts, we're now down to 1.55%. And you know what? I'm going to click one more time. Okay, 1.8%. That's a little higher. So she's kind of hovering between 1 and 2%, which is, pretty like average to good if you have a lot of followers. And looking further down this, her name just says Amy Landino. It doesn't say personal brand coach like she had in her example a second ago. So that's interesting that she took that out of her name. We see that her business classification is entrepreneur and her bio says 3X author slash good morning, good life, media business coach, turning personalities into thought leaders, message me coach to discover your success path. And then her link is work with Amy. So I'm going to click on that link. Okay. And I see it's a type form thing. Spots are limited. Fill out this brief application to be considered. Yeah, no thanks. And as you see here, she does have stories highlights. You'll notice my profiles don't because, as you know, I don't like stories. And in terms of content, she has 3 pieces of content pinned to the top. So let's watch these 3 pieces of content and see what she's got to say. So we've got a little headshot here. Hi, everyone. With so many new faces here, I thought it would be a good time to properly reintroduce myself. And this looks like it was posted on December 2nd of 2024. My name is Amy Landino, a 3 times bestselling author, the latest Good Morning, Good Life books, personal brand and business coach. Shout out to my inner circle, international keynote speaker with at Vayner Speakers. And that looks like clicking on that. So this is a speakers bureau with VaynerX, which is I think VaynerMedia, but a family of companies. Okay, yeah, this is Gary Vaynerchuck. We can see him right here in the top corner. So, okay, I'm gonna go back. Where were we? Okay, so it is Gary Vaynerchuk's group of speakers and professional content creator, team YouTube all day, every day. I'm insanely passionate about helping ambitious professionals go after the life they want and make it my purpose in everything you'll see from me. For the last 15 years, I've been teaching entrepreneurs and creators how to build profitable personal brands. What started as a side hustle in social media marketing eventually grew into a multiple 7-figure business. So she's not 8 figures yet. A few fun facts about me. I'm a mom to 2 girls. It looks like they're tagged, but they're only 2.5 years old and 7 months old. Why do these babies have social media? That's kind of weird. And then at Vince, at and then at Vince Leonardino and I got married in Vegas in 2017 at Cosmopolitan Las Vegas. Okay, yeah, that's one of the casinos. We had to reassure our guests that the dress code was fancier than the Elvis Chapel wedding. And then 3, before entrepreneurship, I worked in public policy and campaign fundraising. I thought that was going to be my career forever until I found a creative outlet that lit me up. Oh my God. 4, I've been on YouTube since I uploaded my first video in 2007. I didn't know it would become a cool thing. I was just trying to find an alternative to burning DVDs. My channel has grown to nearly 500,000 subscribers and 34 million plus views. I'm obsessed with productivity and morning routines so much that I wrote a books about it, and I have a product line of planners. Oh, planners. Okay. Whether you're here for inspirational videos or looking to build a profitable personal brand, thank you for showing up for you. I've got big plans for this community and I can't wait to help you level up. And if you're curious about what coaching with me looks like, message me coach and I'll get you all the details. Special shout out to Chris Carty for making me feel beautiful behind the camera, Holland Copper Clothing for helping me look my best, and Quest Studio for the perfect photo shoot setting. Okay. And the next piece of content, please appreciate, is going to be her talking to a fake audience, I believe. I can't prove it's fake, but I'm pretty sure it is. Let me know if you agree.
The current iteration of who you are right now and how you can serve, because it might be exactly what somebody else needs. And it is okay if it is not the thing forever, because you still have to grow. They still have to grow. We don't realize when we're the ones crafting the business idea that this is a season for us and it's a season for the customer too. Where I am in my education and what I've tried in my business and what has worked and what hasn't, that's a season. I still have room to grow. And so my client who will come in 10 years is going to get a completely different experience from me. They may need exactly where we are in this moment. Why would you not launch the current iteration of who you are right now and how you can serve? Because it might.
Okay, that's a pretty common idea. I don't think any of us feel like we've entirely arrived. There's always more to learn. And then it looks like this is hire a fake assistant, be like Hugh Grant. Okay, we'll see what this one's about.
Hugh Grant. Hugh Grant had a fake agent.
I told everyone, if you want me, go to James Howe Ely in London. And he didn't exist. It was me on a different email account.
If Hugh Grant can have a fake talent agent, you can have a fake assistant. My name is Amy, and I'm your successful big sis. I'm going to show you how I did this when I first got started and why I told New York Mag it's one of the best business decisions I ever made. Your first step is to name them. This was easy for me. I wanted somebody who sounded like they could handle things. Olivia. Next, create a dedicated inbox for your fake assistant. I like to use the name at my URL. You could also do hello at or info at, but the most important thing is that it is separate from your inbox. Next, you're going to CC your assistant on everything: scheduling, contracts, any inquiries, whatever you hope somebody will be helping you with someday, start acting like they're helping you with it today. Then block time to be the best assistant you've ever had.
He'd get these emails. They would say, "Can you get this script to Hugh?" And I would write back, "Yeah, I'll try and get him to read it this week."
I admit this got a little out of hand. Everybody kept saying, Olivia's so great. I need an Olivia. And I was like, stop trying to poach Olivia. But don't make the mistake of thinking this is just about looking successful. The real power move is setting better boundaries and making more money with your fake assistant so you can hire a real one. And when you do, you'll have a carefully curated inbox that takes 90% of the training process off your plate. Comment Olivia to get the cheat sheet below.
So something that you have probably picked up about me if you've been on this channel for a little while is I'm kind of direct, and people who stick around tend to like it, but sometimes people think that I should be nicer. And so I've often thought that I should have a fake male assistant, and that fake male assistant would be very direct with people on my behalf, and he wouldn't be seen as a bitch. I've thought about it, but I've always been worried that people are going to say, "Oh, James has been so great to deal with. I would love to meet him sometime." And then I'm going to like be caught in the lie, which is basically the only thing that's really kept me from doing it. But yeah, I could see this working, honestly, cuz sometimes if there's a different person, people will react and treat them differently. And you also saw what she did there, which is she used some content from a celebrity to comment on. And that's why these Nicole Reacts videos tend to do better than other content on this channel, is because it's just me in the videos, but because I'm reacting to another person, it kind of brings in a sort of conversational element that I think makes the content more interesting. Let's look at a few more from her.
For you, everyone. I don't care if you're a content creator or you work in an organization, your coworkers, your audience, your boss, your clients, all of them, even if they act like they don't like you that much, they're rooting for you. Because if you get better, their life is better. The results are better. Their workflow is better. Everyone's more productive. Everybody gets to leave on time. We get the goal. So please be confident in your professional skills, because all you have to do is want better for the result, for yourself. And when you show up with that mindset every single day, the people around you are rooting for that to be the case with you. They want you to succeed because it's better for them. So just agree to be confident, because you know at least you'll be better. Do you know everyone's rooting for you?
I mean, to a degree. I understand that most people aren't actively rooting against you. Also, that it's just uncomfortable to watch someone struggle or fail because it feels uncomfortable inside your human spirit. I love that she's wearing a Chanel suit, I think. I don't know if it's a real Chanel suit, but it's that like classic Chanel suit. And her background is also massively pink. I kind of like this aesthetically, but I think if someone actually asked this question, and I'm not entirely sure if someone really asked this question or if she just like put it in. I think when you ask confident people how to be confident, it's like asking skinny people how to lose weight. It comes naturally to them, so it's difficult for them to give tactical things to people who actually have a hard time with it. And because I'm naturally confident, some would say overly confident, it would be hard for me to give advice about confidence, to be honest, to someone who isn't, except to say that for these videos that I record here on this YouTube channel, I oftentimes practice, greetings or lines or stuff in my car when I'm driving. I practice delivering them so that it feels like more comfortable when I'm in front of the camera. So, I mean, I'm not sure if that makes me more confident. I feel like that makes me a more confident presenter. But anyway, let's look at some more stuff here.
Prepare and schedule strategic thinking appointments like they are any other appointment. But if you go into it unprepared, it's not going to be productive time either. So book the time with yourself regularly, knowing what the goal is for that strategic thinking session, and then start to prepare for that time frame by collecting articles or ideas or books to read so that you go into that session with some material that sets you ahead. Prepare and schedule.
So we see this video has 70 likes. It was posted 2 days ago. And it looks like there's like 4 comments, but then there's some hidden ones. Oh, okay. About Forex trading that are spam. Okay. And I'm going to watch one more of her reels just to
like tasks together. One of the things I'm most proud of in my business is that I posted 3 videos a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, on this channel for 3 years straight without a miss. But I would not have been able to show up at that rate if I did not designate Mondays as the day that I would film all the content. I only had to do my hair once. I had to come up with 3 different shirts. My makeup was ready, and I delivered each video to camera so that I could move along with my week. Batch like tasks, the things that are the
Did you know that you can batch like tasks together? Yeah, like we all know that, right? Like this isn't new information. It seems like she's more of like a sort of business guru and not just marketing. But if your only job is to create content, do you think you could post 3 short videos a week? Probably. If that was your whole job. If you didn't have to do anything else. I get she sells planners and coaching and all that, but her whole thing is to be a personal brand. And she has a large enough audience to have her content monetized. So if part of how you got paid was that you had to make 3 short videos a week, you'd probably do it. And again, if I was making more than $5 to $15 a month on this YouTube channel, I'd post a heck of a lot more content. Do you know what I mean? But the reality is that most people are running a business that isn't a personal brand that monetizes guru-ness. So we don't have time to create the content like these people do. We just don't. And so what we have to do is look for quality over quantity. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Amy Landino, it seems like pretty common sense stuff to me. Schedule time with yourself, batch your content, be confident in yourself, all that, right? And to close out this video, I'm just going to show you one more thing. First of all, just to remind you, this person has 102,000 Instagram followers. And let's look at her latest reel. So if we look at this video in the upper left corner has 33,200. This other video has 379,000. Hire a fake assistant, be like Lady Gaga. It's funny how that other one was have a fake agent, be like Hugh Grant. So it does seem like she maybe uses celebrity to kind of get more engagement on her content, which is totally fine. Clearly it's working. But, let's look at her video views generally, 7,000, 1,800, 1,600, 1,700. 3,400 to 2,600. Okay. Now, my co-working space Instagram account, and I like to use it because there's 102 followers, a very small amount of followers, right? Let's look at the views. 270, 5,800, 170, 700, 250, 150-ish. Hey guys, editing Nicole. I used the wrong word for this in this next part. I keep saying engagement rate, and what I mean is reach. So just acknowledging that I used the wrong word here so that you don't think I'm silly. Also, 2 of her videos have a lot of views, and I looked and she's not running any ads currently, but that doesn't mean that she never ran ads to these videos. So I just want to acknowledge that there are 2 videos that have way more views than the rest of her content, and there's no way for me to tell really if it was an ad thing or not in the past. So just acknowledging that here as well too, because I think I cut out the part where I said that earlier. All right, see you on the other side. Now you might be asking yourself why I just showed you those 2 things. I just want to do some math with you, okay? If we take the views on those 8 videos we looked at for her and we divide it by 8, we see that the average video gets 71,788 views. Yes, 2 of those videos had a ton of views on them. That's kind of skewing up the average, but whatever, right? If we divide that over her audience of 102,000 people, we get that 70.4% engagement on these videos. Now we know that just because a video got a view does not mean that that person was a follower. And this shows it because when we look at her average engagement at the beginning of the video with the software that I have, this keywords everywhere tool, we see that her engagement hovers between, 1 and 5% depending on the time period. So this demonstrates that a lot of people see your content who aren't necessarily your followers. Let's compare it to my co-working space content. Again, I took the 8 videos that I showed you and I averaged them out, and the average video gets 960 views. Divide that by my 102 followers, and I have a 941.5% engagement. So 70.4, 941.5. Who would you trust to advise you on your content marketing? Now, you could argue that like any small audience is going to have better engagement, but that has way better engagement. I think we can see. So you don't have to have a big audience to get your content seen, is I guess what I'm here to tell you. If you want the vanity metric, go for it. I have not spent a lot of time pursuing it because, as you see, A, Anchor Space Potsdam is running just fine at a profit. Thank you very much. And I'm getting great engagement on the content that I do post, which means that people are seeing it and the awareness of my company on the internet is pretty darn good. So that's all I got for today. If you want to be better at social media stuff, I recommend posting some trending related content. And I have a whole service called Trend to Send where I basically track trends and send you one trend that you can post across your social media accounts to get maximum visibility for minimal work. So check that out if you're interested. If you want to stay in touch, a good way to do that is through the email newsletter, technicalsupport.com/newsletter. If you want to sign up and if you want to see past issues there. If you have marketing gurus or questions that you want to ask, you can leave it as a comment on this video. Or if you're feeling a little more shy, you can use the contact form of my website, technicalsupport.com/contact, and I will get back to you. So thanks so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Take care.